Imagine you are standing behind 10 inches of reinforced steel. You are 40 feet underground, shielded by biometric scanners and a private, air-gapped network. You have spent millions to ensure that the outside world cannot touch you. You feel safe. But then, a single message bypasses every physical barrier you've built. It appears on your private device, originating from a source you deem infallible. It doesn't ask for your password. It doesn't trigger an alarm. Instead, it asks for your help. By the time you realize the person on the other end isn't who they say they are, the steel doors are still locked, the guards are still at their posts, but your legacy has already been liquidated. The bunker didn't fail you. Your belief in it did. The question is, when privacy becomes a cage, who holds the key? In 2026, we are witnessing the collapse of the secure bunker myth. For the ultra-wealthy, security has historically been defined by isolation. The theory was simple. If you are hard to reach, you are hard to hit. But in a hyper-connected digital economy, total isolation is an impossibility. Today, we are exposing a sophisticated shift in global cybercrime. We are moving away from mass-market phishing and into the realm of precision engineering. This video will reveal why the world's most protected individuals are actually more vulnerable than the average citizen. We will explore how extreme privacy creates a dead zone of verification, a vacuum that professional manipulators are now using to dismantle the fortresses of the elite from the inside out. Let's look at the quiet downfall of a high-net-worth family office we will call the Miller Group. The Millers operate with a level of secrecy that borders on the military. Their communications happen on custom encrypted hardware. Their staff is vetted by former intelligence officers. The breach didn't start with a hack. It started with a digital shadow profile. An adversary spent 6 months monitoring the social media of the family's junior staff and distant relatives. They mapped out the family's inner circle, not their bank accounts, but their relationships. The attack was launched during a high-profile charity gala in London. While the patriarch was unreachable in a secure venue, his lead trustee received a voice memo via an encrypted channel. The voice was unmistakable. It was the patriarch's son, sounding panicked, calling from what sounded like a crowded hospital. He claimed to have been in a quiet car accident in a foreign jurisdiction. He needed a wire transfer to a specific legal intermediary to avoid a local custody complication before the press found out. He used a childhood nickname for the trustee. He referenced a specific private document only the family should have known about. The trustee, conditioned to protect the family's reputation at all costs, bypassed the standard two-factor protocol to protect the secret. The voice memo was a high-fidelity AI clone, trained on snippets of the son's voice taken from a single podcast interview. The private document had been exfiltrated months earlier from a poorly secured residential Wi-Fi network used by a guest. The Miller Group lost $4 million in 30 minutes, not because their encryption failed, but because their bunker mentality made them too afraid to pick up the phone and verify the truth. To understand the vulnerability of the ultra-rich, we have to look at how criminals exploit the very systems meant to protect them. First, the verification vacuum. When you live a highly private life, you have fewer people to check in with. Criminals know that in an elite environment, discretion is the highest virtue. They use this to isolate the victim. If they can convince you that a matter is too sensitive to discuss with your security team, they have successfully removed your armor. Second, the reputation tax. For the wealthy, a leak is often more expensive than a ransom. Attackers use reputational leverage. They don't just threaten to steal money, they threaten to expose a private vulnerability or a social embarrassment. This forces the victim to act quickly and quietly, the two conditions most favorable to a scammer. Third, the technology trap. The elite often use bespoke or exclusive technology. But security through obscurity is a flaw. Attackers study these high-end tools. They know that a user of a $2,000 encrypted phone feels a false sense of invincibility. That confidence is the exploit. Human behavior. We are biologically wired to respond to the voices of our loved ones and the commands of our superiors. In 2026, AI can simulate both perfectly. When your bunker cuts you off from the outside world, you become entirely dependent on these digital signals. If those signals are hijacked, your reality is hijacked. Why do the most successful people on Earth fall for this? It is because of the expertise bias. People who are masters of industry or finance often believe their high IQ protects them from low-level deception. They assume a scam will look like a scam, clumsy and obvious. They are not prepared for a scam that looks like a high-level business negotiation or a family emergency. Furthermore, comfort breeds complacency. When you are surrounded by walls, you stop looking over your shoulder. This risk extends to anyone who manages high-value assets or sensitive data. If you are a professional with a high degree of autonomy or a family member with access to significant resources, you are at risk. Your wealth and your desire for privacy are not just assets, they are the signals that attract professional predators. To dismantle the bunker myth, you must move from hardened perimeter to hardened habits. The analog failsafe. Never rely solely on digital confirmation for high-stakes actions. If you receive a request for money or sensitive data, require a physical handshake. This means a prearranged secondary check, such as a phone call to a secondary unlisted number, or the use of a challenge response question that requires a memory not stored on the internet. Reputational resilience. Understand that the threat of exposure is a primary tactic. Have a plan for how you would handle a data leak before it happens. When you are not afraid of the exposure, the attacker loses their leverage. Audit your inner circle. Security is only as strong as your most public-facing associate. Ensure that staff, family, and partners understand that no one is exempt from verification protocols, not even you. Embrace transparency over secrecy. In moments of crisis, the urge is to hide. Instead, involve your trusted advisors immediately. Professional scammers thrive in the dark. They cannot survive the light of a collective review. The world is getting smaller, and the walls are getting thinner. In the digital age, a bunker is just a room you can't escape from. True security isn't something you can buy. It is something you must practice every single day. It requires the humility to be skeptical and the courage to verify the uncomfortable. If this exposure has changed the way you view your own security, share it with those in your circle who may feel too safe behind their own walls. To stay informed on the evolving tactics of high-end cyber threats, subscribe to this channel. The most dangerous lie is the one that tells you you are untouchable. Stay vigilant.